What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the No Continues channel. It's your host, Edge Master X, in the building, coming at y'all with my very first deck profile on this channel, Earth Machine. So before I get into the video, I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about some of the things I have to deal with Yu-Gi-Oh! And kind of my perspective on it. So I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For a very long time. It's been like 20 years or something. And I mainly video duel. So I have an entire community literally dedicated for people that literally play around the world. We've got literally a wealth of experience, a lot of players that are new school, old school, and a little in between. This deck I've taken to a few tournaments that we've had online, 50 man, 40 man, 30 man, sometimes even 60 man people. And I have actually topped with this deck. It's actually very fantastic. It has a lot of great matchups, and it does a lot of different things. So with that being said, we're going to take a look at the deck. We're going to talk about the lore, the background strategy, and the different things that go behind the deck and some of the things that are important for you to know. Second, we're going to talk about the different strategies, go card by card, and talk about the different things of how each card helps you get from one part of your combo to the next, talk about what the deck can do, and ultimately, I'm going to show you guys how you should play Earth Machine. So let's go ahead and get into it. So with this profile, we're going to go ahead and start with the monsters. So this deck, just to give you guys an understanding, get this camera right here, to give you guys an understanding, this deck, it's very easy to play. It's not super overly complicated, and there's a lot of great strengths that it has. It grinds very well, and it has a lot of just different ways that it moves. So to go ahead and get into it, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Infinitrack Bulldozer. Actually, we're going to go ahead and turn these around here so you guys can see. So 3 copies of Infinitrack Bulldozer. So this card is going to be your main starter for the deck, and it's also your main extender. So essentially what this card does is you can special summon it by triggering one of your monsters, and then it special summons another monster from the deck. Do keep in mind when you summon this guy using his ability and you get his effect off, he does prevent you from special summoning anything but Earth Machines, but guess what? That's mainly what we're playing anyway, so let's go. 3 copies of Brutal Dozer, 3 copies of Infinitrack Harvester. He's one of your main starters in the deck. This guy, when you summon him via normal or special summon, he actually searches for any Infinitrack monster. So the first portion of this deck is Infinitracks, as you can clearly see. And Harvester is one of those crucial cards that help you get to another part of your combo. Something else that needs to be said about Harvester is that when you play him, he actually can take another Earth Machine on the field, and then he can combine his level and another monster's level. So he's level 2, level 5 Brutal Dozer makes level 7. Done. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. 2 copies of Infinitrack Trencher. This guy's your main extender in the deck as far as just that's all his entire purpose is. There's a combo that I'm going to show at the end of the video where you're going to capitalize on this guy, but essentially when he's in the grave, you banish him and then he special summons a monster back from the graveyard. 1 copy of Anchor Drill. You mainly play him for the meme, and also he can special summon a monster from your hand, and he does the same thing as Harvester. So it takes his level and another monster's level and then combines them together. So level 4 Anchor Drill, level 5 Trencher, level 9 easy peasy. 1 copy of Tunneler. This guy is your main grind card in the deck. This card will win you games just because it'll allow you just to outgrind your opponent. What it does, you banish it, and then it's going to take 5 Earth Machines in your graveyard. So he'll be banished, so he won't be in your graveyard anymore. You're going to shuffle him back into the deck, and then you're going to draw 2. Then next, we got our Machina monsters. So 3 copies of Metal Cruncher. A lot of people are cutting him to 2 in their list. I'm personally saying that you should definitely run 3, just because he's one of your main starters. You can play him at just kind of awkward times when you have hands where you might not open optimally, and he just helps you keep grinding. So 3 copies of Metal Cruncher, 2 copies of Fortress. This guy is just absolutely insane. What this card does is you can discard himself and another machine in your hand that basically equal level 7. He's already level 7, so you just discarding him and one other monster just because that's the way his effect works. And you can special summon him from the grave using that first effect. Or if you just straight up have, you know, a metal cruncher in your hand, you can actually just discard a higher level machine monster to basically special summon him from the graveyard. And he actually says level 8. I said level 7, but it's level 8. And when he dies, he does destroy another monster by card effect. This is one of the newer additions to the deck that I'm playing that's kind of spicy, is Machina Ruin Force. A lot of people, this guy just came out in one of arguably the best sets of the year 2021. He came out in Burst of Destiny. So the way this bad boy works is legitimately, if he's in your graveyard, you can banish 3 other machines and you can special summon this guy back. He's just very insane. So essentially the way he works is he must be special summoned from your grave by banishing from your graveyard monsters whose total levels equal 12 or more. And then when your opponent activates a card or effect during the battle phase, you can pay half your life, negate the activation, and if you do, half your opponent's life points. And he's already 4,600. And then what's even crazier is if he's destroyed a battle or card effect, you can special summon 3 of your banished Machina monsters. So this card is absolutely insane. If you're not playing this in your deck, I would say at least give it a try before you just knock it and say, well, this card's just not good because it's too slow. This card is definitely good for grinding. You can set it up turn 1, and on top of that, he's a big body. And sometimes with the current format, people are playing the Scythe block. Sometimes having that extra body that's a little bigger than a Dragoon that's only 4,000, or a Baron de Fleur that's 3,000, sometimes having that extra little push can make all the difference in the world in a match, for sure. Machina Citadel, if you guys have never played Earth Machine or played the Machina deck, then you would just know that you don't want to see this guy if you're playing against this deck. It's crazy. How he works is if an Earth Machine on your field is destroyed, he special summons himself from the grave. So you get that great interaction there. And then on top of that, what he does is he can target a Earth Machine monster on your field. He can destroy it and destroy all monsters in your opponent's field that have equal to or less attack points. So essentially he can target himself and he'll destroy himself and everything with 3,000 or less. Also, what you can set up in some of the combos I'm going to show you later is you can destroy monsters on your field that might be even stronger in attack points than he is, but keep in mind his effect is and if you do, so it's not locked down by the fact that he has to destroy a monster. So it'll make sense once I get to the combo. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the next archetype, which are the trains. So the train monster, the first one we have is Flying Pegasus Railroad Stampede. I'm mainly playing this guy because he's a big combo piece in the deck. Well, essentially what this card's going to do is it's going to place you in an optimal position for grinding or getting off one of your spell cards that I'll go over later. But essentially he special summons a level 10 Earth Machine from your graveyard, actually any Earth Machine from your graveyard, and then he when he's summoned, by the way. And then he also has the ability to take his level and the level of another machine monster and make them the same. So, really insane card. Next, we've got 2 copies of Heavy Freight Train Derrick Crane and 2 copies of Super Express Bullet Train. I'm showing you guys both of these cards at once because Heavy Freight Train Derrick Crane special summons and does what we call in Yu-Gi-Oh! An improper term, which is chain blocking. He helps chain block some of your other monsters so they for sure go off and your opponent can't interrupt you. And then we've got Super Express Bullet Train. Essentially what this card does is he can special summon, whoops, turn that back. So he can special summon if you have another monster on your field, and it's really insane because when he summons himself to the field, he's a 3k body, and he can attack straight up, but you do have to send 2 cards from your field to the grave. But you're mainly summoning him because him and Derrick Crane have one purpose, which is basically to help you get into your big train XYZs, which we'll go into in a minute. And then the final card in the deck that's a monster is Ancient Gearbox. So this card is probably one of the key focal centerpieces in the deck because whenever it's added to your hand, he adds another Earth Machine monster to your hand. So those are all the monsters. For spells, we've got quite a few very powerful cards. 3 copies of Redeployment, Machina Redeployment. The reason why you're playing this is because it searches for Machina cards. If you discard a Machina monster, you can search for any 2 Machina cards. If you discard 1 random card from your hand, you can just search for specifically 2 Machina monsters. So we're playing that. We're playing 3 copies of Heavy Forward. This card is Machina Redeployment, but it works for Infinitrax instead. So essentially, with Heavy Forward, you're searching for your Infinitrax monsters, and it helps you get extra XYZ material for your Earth Machine X1Z monsters. 2 copies of Evolving Switchyard. This is a card that supports the Train archetype, and you guys are just seeing some of the insane stuff. So you're playing a turbo card for Infinitrack, a turbo card for your Machina, and now you're playing a turbo card for your trains. So you have so much steam to get you rolling and get your combos going. It's just insane, dude. This deck is legitimately, if you're newer to the game, this is a great deck to pick up because it's very simple, very easy, and it's very strong. Next, we've got 2 copies of Urgent Schedule. This is our last spell in the deck. What Urgent Schedule does, this is how you break boards and how you go in second with this deck. We're only playing 2 copies of this, but what it does is if your opponent controls more monsters than you, which if you're going second, they will. It special summons 2 Earth Machines from the deck. One has to be level 10 though. Like 1 level 4 or lower Earth Machine, and then you special summon a level 5 or higher Earth Machine. So it's going to be level 10 because pretty much everything beyond level 5 in this deck is level 10 or higher. And then for traps, we've got a good plethora of trap cards. One thing I want to say about this deck is there's lots of many different ways to play it before I continue. One big thing to remember is that you're designing your deck for your meta. You got to look and analyze the different strategies that you're going to be playing against and then the different environments that you're going to be in. So I'm not playing any hand traps in this version of the deck because the trap cards that you're able to play are just so powerful. They're really just blowout cards. So that's why I'm not really playing any hand traps, because hand traps are only good going second, and the deck already naturally plays going second already very well. So I'm playing traps for my going first, because you're going first, as you'll see. You've got such a not so powerful start, but you'll see what I'm saying. But 3 copies of Machina Overdrive. This card is just insane because what it does is you blow up a card on your field, and then you're special summoning a Machina monster from the deck. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to be summoning Citadel, or you're going to be summoning your Machina Metal Cruncher, so that way you can keep your grind going. We're playing 2 copies of Trap Trick. The reason why we're playing 2 copies of this is because this is literally a 4th copy of Machina Overdrive, and it can be a 3rd copy or a 4th copy of some of the other cards that I'm going to go over. 2 copies of Torrential Tribute and 2 copies of EMR. So these 2 cards are both blowout cards. They're just very insane. I haven't seen really anybody playing this. This is a tech of mine. It's called EMR, and essentially the way that this card works is that you are attributing a machine monster in your field, and for every 1,000 attack points that monster had, you're blowing up 1 card in your opponent's field. So you got a lot of 3K monsters, that's 3 cards. And then Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute is usually just a blowout card. You can play it offensively and defensively in this deck, and it plays around itself. And you'll see as we get further into the deck profile some of the different and incredible ways you can make use out of your Torrential Tribute. So that is the main deck. I want to say I'm around 42 cards in the main. There's a lot of just very powerful, good stuff in this deck, and one of the biggest reasons why I like to play it is because it is very grindy. It's just very difficult for your opponent to establish themselves after you've already kind of knocked them down a peg a few times. And this deck just grinds just amazing. Now we're going to go over the extra deck, and then we're going to get into some combos. So we're going to start with our Link monsters. So we're playing 3 copies of Infinitrack Goliath. So this card is arguably one of the most important monsters in the extra deck, just because it helps get your combo going. You're not using the second effect too often, because it can actually attach itself to XYZ monsters, That rarely comes up because generally by the time you're making proper use of it, you're already OTKing your opponent, but it is a good effect to have nonetheless. So you're definitely playing 3 copies of that bad boy. You are playing 1 copy of Ancient Gear Ballista. This is how you get that Ancient Gear box so that you can keep going through your combo. So 1 copy of him, 1 copy of Double-Headed Anger Knuckle. This card is just insane. This is going to be the reason why you beat most of your opponents, if not all of them, with this deck. This guy brings back your level 10 Earth Machines. He allows you to keep grinding because he can bring himself back out of the grave. He just embodies literal Terminator. Great card. 1 copy of Cleafort Genius. You could cut this card, but we're playing at least 1 because if you are able to make this, then you go Urgent Schedule. It's just insane because he gets additional effects and 2 monsters are summoned to his zone he points to 2 zones he points to at the same time. And then he's also unaffected by the effects of spells and traps, and you can target a card on the field on both player sides of the field and negate their effects. So sometimes you can turn off floodgates. Infinitrack Mega Clops. This card is the last limit monster of the deck. Arguably the strongest monster in the deck as far as how powerful his effect is. He's another card that just helps you outgrind your opponent. He takes your opponent's resources from the grave, from the field, I'm sorry. Gets your resources back from the grave, and then he's literally turning your opponent's board off as you're turning your board on. So he's just absolutely just a unit in this deck. The next Earth Machine and Infinitrack we got for XYZs. We have River Stormer. That's the very first one I'm going to show. This bad boy is just insane. He allows you to either add or send an Earth Machine monster from deck to hand or deck to grave. So definitely a needed card. 1 copy is fine. 1 copy of Infinitrack Earth Slicer. He's level 9. So River Stormer is rank 5. This dude is rank 9. And he basically blows up cards in your opponent's field equal to the number of monsters that were detached for his ability. And keep in mind that whenever River Stormer or this guy kill a monster by battle, they actually take it as XYZ material. This guy, I'm just playing for memes. You don't have to play this card, but I'll give an explanation why later. We're playing 1 copy of Mountain Smasher. For the actual card count, we're not going to count this card towards our 15 card extra deck count. I'm only mentioning this card because it's another card in the deck that I have considered. But just, something to think about as far as when you're actually testing the deck. 1 copy of Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. This card helps close out games quickly. He's 3,000. He does 2,000 burn damage. So in theory, if you were able to swing your opponent twice for 3,000, you can just make this guy burn him for 2,000, and that's usually game. Then you've got Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Juggernaut Lively. This card is absolutely insane too because you're making him generally turn 1, and then when you make him turn 1, what happens is you detach a material, and usually it's Deracrane or something that gives you residual value, but whatever card you target is going to be unaffected by all card effects until the end of the turn. And then you've got your 1 copy of Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Juggernaut Lively. So all 3 of those last cards are the Super Dreadnoughts. So we're going to go over them a little bit, but basically what this card does is it allows you to attack as many times as materials that it has plus 1. So if it has 3 materials, he can attack 4 times essentially. If you use his normal effect, you detach 1 material, he permanently gains 2,000 attack and defense, and he'll be able to be the only monster on your field that can attack. But let's be honest, you swinging into 2 or 3 monsters with 6,000, that's usually game. And then we've got 1 copy of Double-8 Sky Thunder Zeus. This card is probably the most hyped XYZ monster in the game right now. Essentially what this bad boy does is send all cards in the field to the grave besides himself when he uses his ability. And then 1 copy of Interblothnir or 1 copy of Dingirsu. You can play either one. I personally recommend Interblothnir the most because if you get Interblothnir and Mega Clops going, you're getting rid of 2 or 3 cards every turn. It's insane. But Dingirsu it's a little harder to make because he's a rank 8, whereas Interblothnir is rank 9. So Dingirsu can be made. He's just a little harder, but his effect is just as good because he can send cards on your opponent's field to the grave and he protects cards. So that's going to be it as far as the deck profile. Next, I'm going to show you guys some combos, talk a little bit about the lore of the deck, and we'll be going on from there. Alright, y'all. So now we're going to be talking a little bit about the combos that this deck has. So believe it or not, this deck has some one-card combos, and I'll be starting off by showing you guys how those go. So for this combo, you can use either one copy of Metal Cruncher or one copy of Harvester. It really doesn't matter which one you start off with. So we're just going to, for illustration's sake, say Metal Cruncher. Metal Cruncher is arguably the better of the two, but it's interchangeable. But essentially, you're going to normal summon your Metal Cruncher. You can normal summon him if you have no other cards. So what we're going to do, we're going to just move this over to slowly a little bit. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to normal summon on Metal Cruncher. And then what's going to happen is he reveals 3 monsters to you guys that are Earth Machines. So we're just going to reveal 3 of the same monster, which is why it doesn't matter which one you start with, because Infinitrack, Harvester, he's going to essentially get the same card. So you're going to get 1 copy of Brutal Dozer. So we got 3 copies of Brutal Dozer because it's legal. We're going to go ahead and tribute this copy of Metal Cruncher to special summon this copy of Brutal Dozer to the field. What Brutal Dozer does is he special summons another monster from the deck that is an Infinitrack. So it's very important that you special summon Trencher here. And then what you're going to do, you're going to overlay these 2 for this copy of River Stormer. And then from here, you're going to use River Stormer's ability. You're going to detach this copy of Trencher. And then what he does is add or send an Earth Machine monster. So in this particular case, you're going to add Super Express Bullet Train to your hand. Then you're going to link summon using this copy of River Stormer to go into Infinitrack Goliath. So you're going to summon him into the good old extra monster zone because he is a link. Let's see if we can get this here. Alright, so we're going to summon your Infinitrack Goliath. Alright, so what we're going to do from here is we're going to special summon this copy of Super Express Bullet Train to the field because we do control an Earth Machine monster. And then we're going to go ahead and take these 2 and then we're going to link them together. And from here, we're going to go ahead and make this copy of Ancient Gear Ballista. And so what Ancient Gear Ballista is going to do is he's going to search for your copy of Ancient Gear Box. And then whenever Ancient Gear Box is added from your deck to your hand, he adds a Earth Machine monster with exactly 500 attack or 500 defense from your deck to your hand. So we're going to add Infinitrack Tunneler from our deck to our hand. So you guys are seeing how the synergy of this deck is, man. Because look, we started with a Machina, then it went into an Infinitrack with our Brutal Dozer, and then now it's going into an Ancient Gear. I mean, this shit is just crazy. So, Ancient Gear Box, we get our Infinitrack Tunneler now. What we're going to do is we're going to banish this copy of Infinitrack Trencher. And what happens is he's going to special summon back this copy of Infinitrack Brutal Dozer to the field in defense. We're going to go ahead and link off our Brutal Dozer to go into Infinitrack Goliath. So Infinitrack Goliath now hits the board. And then what you're going to do from here is you're going to go ahead and tribute your Goliath to special summon this copy of Tunneler. And then you're going to link off the Tunneler to go into your 3rd and final copy of Goliath. You're probably wondering why you keep making this one card, but it'll all make sense in a second because you're going for a big combo here. So you're going to go ahead and take Goliath and you're going to take your Ballista. And you're going to be going into your double-headed Anger Knuckle. So once you set up your double-headed Anger Knuckle, from here you're just golden. Because what's going to happen now is you're going to activate your effect of Tunneler. You're going to go ahead and banish him, and you're going to shuffle back all 4 copies of your Link monsters that were used. So you have 3 copies of Goliath, the 1 Ancient Gear Ballista, and then you have 4 other cards in your graveyard at this point. You want to go ahead and put back the Brutal Dozer, I would say is the best choice. You can put back really any of those, just do not put back the Super Express Bullet Train. And so those are going to go back into the deck, and then you're going to draw 2 random cards. It really doesn't matter what those extra cards are. But just so you know, you would have started off if you're going first. 5 cards in hand, and now you're adding 2. So now you're going to have a total of how many? That's right, 6. So from a gamer's perspective of this deck, just on that 1/1 card combo, this is not really the end of the combo, but for the most part it is, because all you can do from here is double-headed Anger Knuckle. You're going to go ahead and send this copy of Enter your box to the grave to special summon back this copy of Super Express Bullet Train. So that will be the end of your first one combo. Now you have 6 other cards in your hand, guys. So if you're going first, if you're doing some traps, those traps I was telling you about, looking at the ratios of what you've got going on in this deck, we're running a grand total of about, let me see, 2, 4, 4, 3. So you're running about 7-8 traps in the deck. So I mean, you've got a good opportunity to really just kind of go at it with the different content that you can use and abuse with this strategy, because you're going to be putting your cards back, you're going to be drawing extra cards, you're already starting out with 5 cards, drawing an extra 2, and then that just goes into some of the other things that you have going on if you're going first. So that will be what going first looks like. Then now I can show you guys, what going second looks like, because going second, it's a little different, but it just really kind of depends on how you open up. So with the machine and train archetype just in general, a lot of different openers and ways to sort of string things together. I'm not going to go too in depth because I don't want to get the video to get too long. But if you're going second and your opponent went first, and let's say they put up 2 negates, they've got their Dragoon on the field, they've got their Macabre on the field. If you guys are familiar with those cards, they're basically 2 Omni negates in the game, very popular right now. We're going to play around, how do you play around 2 or 3 negates? So with this deck. So a lot of times when people first see it, they think the deck is very normal, summon reliant, but we're following the basic rules of Yu-Gi-Oh! We only have 6 starters in this deck. Our main starters are Harvester, and then our other main starter is going to be the Metal Cruncher. So a lot of times you'll go, okay, cool, normal summon, Harvester, or Metal Cruncher. Your opponent's going to say, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and negate and destroy whichever one that you summoned or played. Okay, and that's going to be completely fine. Those are just your normal summons. You've got so many other ways to play this deck, guys. Remember, you've got your Urgent Schedule, you've got your Revolving Stretch Yard, you've got your Heavy Forward, you've got your Machina Redeployment. You've got 4 powerful spell cards that allow you to just keep playing the game. It's insane, because you can bait out your opponent's negate with your normal summons, and then I can say, okay, well, I'm going to go Urgent Schedule, and then if this goes through or they negate it, it really doesn't matter, because if you're going second, you legitimately have 4 other cards in your hand. And if your opponent lets any of these cards resolve, that is going to place you in a very, very good winning position. With that out of the way, if you're going second, to actually show you a combo and not just keep talking, because I do tend to ramble. If you open up Urgent Schedule, if you're going second and you're going for an OTK here, but assuming that your starters get negated, you're going to go Urgent Schedule. Very easy combo from here. You're going to summon your Harvester, and you're going to summon your Super Express Bullet Train. Do keep in mind that Urgent Schedule, it's going to summon the monsters, but their effects are negated. So yeah, you can only attack with machine monsters this turn. Not that that really matters, but just letting you know, just so you don't forget. So you get these 2 bad boys out onto the field. You can go ahead and you can take these 2 and you can actually link them off, or you can link off your Harvester for one of your Goliaths, and then you can link off your Goliath and your Super Express Bullet Train. And from here, you can actually go ahead and make your Ballista. Ballista is going to go off. He's going to search for your Ancient Year box. And then remember, when Ancient Year box is added from your deck to your hand, you know what he does, he's going to get another card. So from here, you can go ahead and get your Trencher, or you can get your Tunneler. You can get either one. It doesn't really matter. But it just really all depends on what you got going on at the time. So then from here, you can actually just tribute your ballista, and you can actually special summon your trigger to the field. So, okay, cool. I just got a notification. Sorry about that, guys. So you can actually special summon your Trencher here to the field, and you now have 4 other cards in your hand. If you had this hand here or any of your other powerful spells, you can actually just play them here, because from this position, you just got a winning combination. Because if you have your Machina redeployment, you're just going to search your 2 Machina monsters. You're going to go ahead and get your Machina Citadel, and or you're going to go ahead and grab your Machina Fortress. And those two will just play off of each other naturally. You'll just naturally be able to break boards with those 2 cards. If you have the ability to go heavy forward here, I'm just going to go ahead and search for your Brutal Dozer. And from the very first combo tutorial, you would know that Brutal Dozer is an OTK on its own, because Brutal Dozer is just going to get you into your Juggernaut Libby. And then you've got your Evolving Switchard. This card is just as good too, because you can use it to special summon your Heavy Freight Train Derrick Crane, and that's already going to be insane. Because even without doing any of that, you can go Trencher here and link into another Goliath, and if nothing else, you can banish your Trencher to bring back any one of your monsters that's still in the grave. So you would still have 2 monsters on the field, and then you'd be able to bring back your Super Express Bullet Train by simply linking these 2 into your double-headed Anger Knuckle. So if nothing else, you have the ability to make plays, which is the whole point of this deck. And if this deck doesn't get stopped immediately, it's just going to keep grinding. So that's kind of the scary part about this deck. And I was able to do that without using any of these 3 cards. And I can use this bad boy to put another monster on the field, and that would be in the form of our Super Express Bullet Train. So just keep that in mind. But to the point of the example of what we were talking about, if we did have our Trencher and one of these other cards, you could just go Machina redeployment here, discard your Ancient Gearbox. I'm just going to show you guys this and wrap things up. And we're going to go ahead and get our Machina Fortress, and you're going to go ahead and get either Citadel, or you can get Machina Ruin Force. You can get either one, and it would be more than good enough. Then from here, we're going to go ahead and special summon Fortress by discarding himself and Machina Citadel. So Fortress will hit the field. And what's so crazy is both of these guys are level 10. So you can actually take these 2 and link them into your double-headed Anger Knuckle, or you could go Battle Phase Attack with your Fortress. When it dies, it will bring back your Citadel before you bring out the Anger Knuckle. So that's just a couple of ways you could play it, if you decided to go that route. But the main thing is once this card's in your grave, you can actually go ahead and banish your Trencher here, and you can go ahead and bring back your Harvester, which is already crazy, because now what you're going to do is you can use the effect of your double-headed Anger Knuckle. I accidentally discarded the Ancient Gearbox, but you just wouldn't discard the box. You would discard one of the other cards in your hand when you go to resolve your redeployment. But you basically discard your box here using the effect of double-headed Anger Knuckle, and you would bring back your Super Express Bullet Train. And then you can now use the effect of Harvester targeting the Bullet Train, and you can make them both level 12. And from here, you can go into Zeus A Sky Thunder. We're not locked or restricted into Earth Machines because we didn't activate any effects that would restrict us. And we can literally just use his ability and wipe the board clean with all of our opponent's cards, which is already stupid. And then we can just go ahead and beam him for 3,000. And then what's stupid about this is your Super Express Bullet Train will give you a monster back from your graveyard at the end of the turn. And you can bring back your double-headed Anger Knuckle by simply tributing a XYZ monster on the field. So, yeah, And actually, it's any card. You can send any card from the field to the grave representing himself. So you just clearly see just how insane and how grindy this deck is. Because even if they clear your board here, like if they weren't able to get through this and this, which it would take them a lot to do, when you go for your next turn, this card's going to come back, and if they destroyed any of your cards by battle or card effect, your Machina Citadel will hit the board, and you can kill everything on their field with 3,000 or less. You're going to get an additional search during the end of the first turn with this card, so you'd have another card in your hand, and you have the ability to bring this guy back with some of the cards that you're going to get back from the previous turn. It's just, when does it end? So, yeah, guys. So that's my deck profile, full in-depth discussion of Earth Machines. I would like to go into some of the lore and stuff, but this video's already been too long. So I'll go ahead and save that for another video. But this is your boy Edgemaster signing out. Definitely, if this is your first time on the channel, like, comment, subscribe, smash that like button, go into the comments, tell me what you guys think about the deck profile. I'll catch you guys next time, and remember, keep playing, keep beating, and keep surviving. Just do it with no continues. Peace.